introduce our speaker for the day. So thank you.
All right, so I'm back and I'm going to start introducing Sergeant Lawrence Hopper with the Highway Patrol. He's been with the Highway Patrol for 17 and a half years now. And he's been keeping those roadways safe for quite a while now, pretty much my entire life at this point. He's been an instructor with the Utah Safety Council for 10 years now, is that correct? 10 years. He's done many projects such as the Rio Grande project. He's done highway safety programs, worked with the Highway Safety Office, so like click it or ticket, drives over, get pulled over. So he's pretty much a wealth of knowledge and we're happy to have him here. He's going to talk about the 100 deadliest days of summer and just give some general information, some tips and what he can do about it. I will be actually manning the computer behind the scenes. So if we're bouncing around a little bit, that's why. So I'm just following along with that. I was asked by Lawrence as we're on a topic. If you have a question about it for the Q&A, please address it then so you can kind of be on topic. However, at the end, we are providing a little bit of extra time for Q&A. And if we go a little bit over 11, I do apologize because we had a little bit of technical issues, but Lawrence has agreed to stick around and answer some questions. And that's pretty much it. So I'll now turn the time over to Lawrence.
All right. Oh, easy there. All right. Good morning. First of all, I want to say thanks to the Safety Council for the partnership that they have with us at the Highway Patrol. It's always great for us to be able to come in here and deliver our message to as many people as we can, because like Mike was saying, the biggest goal for us is to have zero fatalities. We've all heard that before. Zero fatalities, and that's true. I mean, that's really the only reason I come to work is to make sure, well, it's to earn a paycheck too, but it's really to make sure that people are safe. We want people to get home to their families, and the way to do that is by addressing the issues. I know that I'm talking to a lot of people that have drivers in their companies, a lot of fleet managers that I'm talking to, and so hopefully this information will be something that you can take back to your employees. Make them better drivers and be safe. So I'm going to be talking about the 100 deadliest days of the summer, which runs between Memorial Day and Labor Day every year. It seems to be that those 100 deadliest days in the calendar or those days, excuse me, are usually the deadliest. And there's a number of reasons why. And we'll talk about some of those reasons why that is. But I'm going to refer to my notes here. For this year, the 100 deadliest days begins May 26th, so Friday, May 26th, and it goes all the way until September 4th, Monday, September 4th. So the Memorial Day weekend, which starts Friday, May 26th, all the way to Labor Day, which is September 4th. And like I mentioned, historically, this is the deadliest 100-day stretch of the calendar year. Before I get into why it's so deadly, I want to talk about some statistics. And so I'm going to have Mike bring up some of these statistics that we have. What you're looking at right now is straight from the Zero Fatalities website. If you look at the Zero report card, it shows where we are as far as current. The bottom line right there says January 1st to May 1st, 2023, and then where we were the year before. As you can see, we're doing better as far as fatalities go. We are down 25 fatalities. And then the thing to look at, it says fatalities and fatal crashes. So obviously the fatalities, that's the number of people that have died on our roadways. The crashes is how many crashes we've dealt with that have come up with that number. And you can see that unfortunately, even though we're doing better, that's still a high number, 75. I mean, what you got to remember is that these are 75 families whose lives are destroyed because of a foolish mistake, either on their family member's part or somebody else's. And in the end, it really doesn't matter who's at fault. I mean, it matters, but when you're dealing with fatality, that's the thing that everybody remembers and the biggest concern that we have. And so then I want you to look at crashes. You can see the number there is 18,535 from last year, and the new number for this year 22,000 and then some change. If I had my glasses on, I'd be able to see it really well. And unfortunately, there's really no one here, I mean, except for the staff that can answer this question, but I'll just ask it rhetorically. Why is that number so high this year as it was compared to last year? Well, the answer obviously is the snowstorms that we've had. We dealt with about 4,000 more crashes this year than we did last year because of the heavy snowstorms that we had, the number of snowstorms. John has promised me that we're not going to have any more storms this year, and I'm going to hold him to that. And if he's lying to me, I know where he lives, and I do carry a gun. So, all right, next up. So we know where we are currently, but I want to talk about where we were previously. The previous 9 years is going to be the next slide. As you can see here, I'm going to go off camera for just, oh, you can still see me. So this starts in 2014, it goes all the way up to last year. These are the numbers, and this is dealing with the 100 deadliest days. So not an entire year, but just the 100 deadliest days. And if you look at these numbers, we're averaging about 1 fatality every single day during those 100 deadliest days. Keep looking. So you got 97 in 2014, goes up to 111. Look at 2019. 61 fatalities during that 100 deadliest days. That's far better than what we've had in the past. And I was wondering to myself, what in the world happened in 2019? And a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, it's COVID. Well, actually, COVID hit in 2020. And so 2020, we're looking at, again, 101 fatal crashes, 101 fatalities. So the question remains, what happened in 2019? I don't know. If anyone has any ideas, throw them out because we're looking. But whatever the reason is, I like it. I wish we could repeat 2019 here in 2023. That would be nice. So just to give you an idea of where we're going, that number needs to drop. And I know that everybody here agrees with that. And so, but it starts with us. It starts with us. We can't control what other people do on the roadways, but we can certainly control what we do on the roadways. And that being said, I wanted to go to the next slide. Hopefully you can see this really well. This is a questionnaire that I'm actually going to give you some time to fill out right now. Take a look at these questions, and I want you to be truthful with your answers. So go 1 to 10 with the numbers corresponding. So 0 is never, 1 is rarely, 2 is occasionally, 3 is frequently, and 4 is always. And rate yourself as a driver. And let's see where you're at, because I'm kind of curious as to how people will answer these questions. And again, be honest with yourself, because it doesn't work if you're not honest. So I'll give you about 2 minutes or so to go through that. And then we'll talk about it. It looks like the staff is doing it too here. So I'm gonna maybe pick on them and then see what they have to say. So just so you're aware, this actually comes straight from the distracted driving manual. It's a class that is taught here at the Safety Council. It's a 4-hour class. A lot of times it's court mandated, but people can take it just to see how they are as drivers and get some information. Not only that, but it's there's an insurance discount if you take the class. And so something to think about there. And it's a good class. There's a lot of good information that comes with that. And so again, that comes straight from the manual. This is one thing that I always address in the classes that I teach is this questionnaire. And then I have the students take it and then we talk about it. So let's get started with number 1 there. It says, I exceed the speed limit. The question is always, did anybody put 0? So I'm going to ask the question here to the staff. Did anybody put 0? Because if you did, you are lying. I'm gonna call you out on that. I've had some people try and tell me that they never exceed the speed limit. I don't believe it. The average speed on the freeway is about 77 miles an hour. And so if you're going with the speed of traffic, if you're going with the flow of traffic, you're already exceeding the speed limit. And so, yeah, I think nobody should be putting 0 there. Number 2, I drive or ride in a vehicle without wearing a seatbelt. Did anybody put anything besides 0 in the? Okay, good. They're all about safety, as well they should be. So everybody here wears their seatbelt, is what you're telling me, correct? All the time, religiously. That's what I love to hear. In fact, we'll talk a little bit more about seatbelt use. But I'm willing to bet that for your companies, every single company has a seatbelt policy. I know the Highway Patrol does, and I know that if I find any of my troopers not wearing their seatbelts, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, and they know this. I've made it very clear to them. This is 4.5 years of click it or ticket talking. I'm passionate about seatbelt enforcement. I'm passionate about people wearing their seatbelts because I've seen people die because they don't wear their seatbelts, and I've seen so many people live because they have their seatbelts on. And so something to think about with your policy and with your company. If you have a seatbelt policy, is it enforced? If it isn't, you might want to look into making sure that it is enforced. There's always repercussions for people not doing what they should be doing. Seatbelt's one of them. And so something to think about with your own company. I tailgate other drivers. Hopefully that's a 0 with never. I talk on the phone or text while driving. We're not going to talk too much about distracted driving in this forum, but there's been a study done where distracted driving is almost as dangerous as driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.08, which about 2 years ago, that was the legal limit. Now it's 0.05, so it's a little lower, but 0.08. And I think that distracted driving is a bigger issue than drunk driving. And the reason I explain that, or the way I explain that, is because not everybody drives drunk, right? But everybody has a cell phone, and everybody messes with their cell phone. Too many times it happens while they're driving. And so distracted driving, in my opinion, is a bigger problem than drunk driving. And it's a big problem for us to enforce, because if I pull you over and you've been drinking, it's easy for me to tell, and it's easy for me to see the clues. It's easy for me to do my investigation and make the arrest. When it comes to distracted driving, and everybody's sitting down, which is great, and this is good. But when it comes to distracted driving, people lie to the police. Like if I come up on a crash and I say, what happened? They're not going to say, oh, I was texting, here, check it out. Take a look at my phone. They're not going to say that. And so it's difficult for me to enforce it. Basically, I have to see them doing it while they're driving, which happens far too often. But there are times when it's difficult to enforce it. And so we're not going to talk too much about distracted driving, but that is something to be looking at. Number 5, I make turns or change lanes without signaling. I hope that's not the case. Go all the way to number 10. It says, I can control what other drivers or road users do around me. Hopefully people understand that the number there should be 0. You really can't control what other people do behind the wheel, but what do you have control over? Just throw it out to the staff. What do you have control over? What you're doing. Absolutely. What you're doing and what your reaction is to what other people are doing. A lot of times we get people that get angry and get upset with other people and they're driving, and I understand, but you have control over that. And too many times people just lose it and they just can't let it go. Very important to let it go. So I want to show you a video here. The question now is, are you willing to drive with yourself? Are you a good enough driver to where you are willing to drive yourself? So we're going to watch this video and see if you are indeed.
What's up? I know, it looks shiny, just like you said it was. Hey, love this song! Love it! Woo! You hungry? No? It's just one of those things, you know? Got it. Whoa! Oh, look, it's your spot. Yeah.
Would you drive with you? Drive safe. Drive smart. A message from the Utah Safety Council.
I found that gem while I was putting this together. Has the old logo, but it's still just as pertinent today as it is.
Feel protected under our roof with auto and home coverage at the right price. American Family Insurance.
And then, a nice plug for American Family Insurance. So there's your question. Are you willing to drive with yourself, knowing the driving habits that you have and the things that you do behind the wheel? I hope the answer is yes. If the answer is no, then you might want to fix something and change some things about the way you drive and the way you comport yourself behind the wheel. So there's a number of things that lead to this high number when it comes to the 100 deadliest days of summer. We're going to address two of them, which are the two leading causes of fatal crashes here in Utah. Do we have anyone? I don't know if you can tell if anyone's saying anything or if they have any questions. Okay. And they can't really say this because I can't ask. But what would you think the number one cause of fatal crashes is here in Utah? What do you think here in the staff? Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be speed. Speed is the number one cause of fatal crashes, which makes sense because we all do it. Some of us to excess, and obviously the higher the speeds, the more dangerous or the more serious the injuries are going to be, and the more fatal crashes we're going to be dealing with. So I'm going to talk about a couple of instances where we were dealing with speed. So if you can take a look at this picture. So this is a sedan. This is on 5900 South and I-15 heading northbound. The flatbed was traveling about 30 miles an hour in the far right lane. And we had reports of the black sedan traveling at a high rate of speed and driving recklessly. So going in and out of lanes, passing up vehicles at high rates, until he came to the far right lane, which is where the flatbed was, and didn't have any time to stop. In fact, when we did our investigation, we didn't see any skid marks. We saw where the point of impact was, and then the flatbed dragging that sedan all the way off to the shoulder, but no skid, which tells me either I mean, that can only tell me that he was distracted, or maybe he fell asleep, or I don't know what the deal is, but he did not respond to the fact that there was that danger ahead of him, and he didn't put on his brakes. We thought for sure this was going to be a fatal when we pulled up, and you can probably imagine why. I mean, that the corner of the flatbed is right up to the driver's side. The seat was reclined down just a bit, which in my opinion probably saved the driver's life. He did survive. His right hand was severed, and so he lost his right hand in this crash, but he survived. So my question is that preventable? Sure, of course it's preventable. In fact, I throw out a statistic with my traffic safety class that 99.2% of all crashes are preventable. 99.2% of all crashes have some kind of human error behind it, to where if something was done correctly, it could have been prevented. So absolutely, this is one that could have been prevented. All right, we'll show you the next one here. So this is also on I-15 at about 8,000 South, heading northbound. That's a Mini Cooper. And that's fire department thumbing through, probably looking for a snack or something. I don't know what they're doing in the trunk there, but same situation. Slow moving semi truck fast moving Mini, didn't realize how fast or how slow rather the semi was going, and slammed right into him. Show you some video of this crash, just to show you how bad it was. Maybe if we got it. Yeah, it's on a slide. That is how stuck on that Mini is to that semi. We're dragging it, trying to open up the lanes, and that's how stuck on that semi is, or the Mini is. And so also not a fatality, which again blows my mind, because that should have been. And so speed is the number one cause of fatal crashes, and it's the number one cause of crashes. And if we were to just slow our speeds down, we would have far less fatal crashes. We'd have far less crashes. What do you think the number two fatal, or the number two cause of fatal crashes is? Not distraction, although we get a lot of people think it's distractions, but again, it's underreported, right? The number of fatal, or the number of crashes that we deal with that are caused by distractions is much higher than we have as far as the numbers go. But again, people lie. And so it's not distractions. DUIs are number three. DUIs are number three. And that's a low number. And we average maybe 30, 35 fatalities every year when it comes to DUIs. And so, so it's not alcohol. What do you think? Anyone? I know Mike knows. Yeah, it's the lack of seatbelt use. That leads me to the next slide. So this happened just last month in April. I believe it was April 14th. This is on I-15 at 1400 South. Early in the morning, probably like I think it happened around 5:30 in the morning. 20-year-old male was driving home from work. We believe he fell asleep, because same with the previous crash with the black sedan, there were no skid marks on this crash. We believe he fell asleep. He veered off and hit the crash continuator, those big crash cushions that separate the off-ramp to the main flow. He was not wearing his seatbelt. You can see what happened here, and unfortunately, he did die. This was a fatal that we had to deal with. I'm convinced that he would have survived had he had his seatbelt on. Obviously, he wasn't planning on being in a crash. He didn't think to himself, "Well, I'm going to drive drowsy, and whatever happens, happens." But he could have prevented fatal injuries and serious injuries if he had a seatbelt on. And so this is what really is a tough one for me to deal with, because he's young, could have been prevented had he had a seatbelt on. And now imagine us having to talk to his parents about their son not coming home because he fell asleep and because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. This crash was survivable had he had his seatbelt on. And I think that photo just says it all. I mean, I think that speaks volumes. He was not ejected, but I think that that picture says enough there. So we really need people to put their seatbelts on. That's what's going to save lives. It's the number two cause. Speed is the number one cause. We really need people to put their seatbelts on. So those are the only two things that we're going to talk about. I mean, we talked about DUIs, how they're the number three cause of fatal crashes. But if we can get people to slow down, get them to wear their seatbelts, get them to not drive impaired, and impaired driving, that's 100% preventable. We all know that, as is speed and seatbelts. We can get people to do that. That number that we had at the beginning, the 100 plus, I think it was 90 actually, 96, 97 for last year. Hopefully this year with the 100 deadliest days, we'll see that number like it was in 2019, where it was 61. And that was great. Last thing I need you to do, and please spread the word to the people that you're working with, is I need you to obey all the signs that are out there. Go ahead and flip it over. So if you can't see this very well, this is a semi that is stuck underneath the quarry exit on I-80. The signs make it very clear that semi trucks are not allowed to turn around in the quarry exit because of this reason. There's low clearance. This truck driver thought, okay, well, I don't care. I mean, signs don't pertain to me. I don't know what they were thinking, but they got stuck right in the middle of it. This is on a snow day. You can see all the snow that we're dealing with. And I remember this day because I was up in the canyon at the same time. When I heard this come out, this is going to sound horrible, but because there were no injuries, it was just someone who was stuck. We told them, we'll get to you when we get to you. We have injuries, we have crashes that are blocking, multiple lanes. We have to focus on that before we can focus on you and the fact that you do not want to listen to the signs. And so please spread the word, obey the signs. If the speed limit says 70 miles an hour, there's a reason it says 70 miles an hour. If the speed, or if the signs say curve 45 miles per hour, there's a reason it says 45 miles an hour. These are engineers who have gone through, done the studies, done all the work that they need to do to make sure that the speed that they put on there is the appropriate speed. If you go over the speed, or if you disobey signs, you might be in a bit of trouble. So last thing I want to talk about, people ask me all the time, hey, or they tell me all the time, they appreciate what I do, and they appreciate the, putting my life in danger and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for your service. I hear it a lot, and I really appreciate it. I want everybody to know that. I appreciate hearing that. I can never get enough of it. And it's not me saying, hey, look at me, aren't I great? But it does feel good to feel appreciated. And then they'll ask, well, what can I do for you to make your job easier? And my answer is simple. Slow down. Put your seatbelt on. Don't drive drunk. Obey the signs. But in a moment of I don't know what to call it, poor decision on this person's fault, or on this person's end, there are times when we do have to put ourselves in front of danger to protect the motoring public. And this happened last month. We're going to flip to this clip. This happened in Tooele County, right at the county line. Sergeant Chad McCoy, a dear friend of mine. In fact, we share an office together at our section office. He's heading home to Tooele County after working his 10-hour shift. He crosses the county line. If you're not familiar with this story, then we'll watch the video and we'll see what happens. There's no sound, so apologize for that. But so he's heading westbound on I-80, and he just barely crossed into the Tooele County line. So wrong way driver. We're still doing our investigation as to whether it was impaired or not. And the reason for that is we need to have the blood work come back. But hauling a U-Haul trailer, a big truck like that, and Chad takes him head on. And that's what we do. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but we're ready to do that. And so people ask me, what can I do to make your job better? There it is. Don't drive wrong way, first of all. But really, it's as simple as obeying the law. That's all I ask. And people say, I appreciate what you do and all that good stuff. And I believe them. But if you really do, you would do what's asked. And that is be a safe driver, be responsible, and be respectful. And I guarantee that if you do that, and if your employees do that, if we all do that, these 100 deadliest days will go by fast with less fatalities, which would be fantastic. I mean, that's really all we want, is zero fatalities. There's a reason it's called that. And I believe we can do it. But we just need to get everybody else to be on board. And so I appreciate your time. With that, if there's no questions, then I'll wrap it up. So be safe. Thank you very much. And I'll turn the time back to whoever.
All right, so just real quick, does anyone have any questions for Lawrence? I'll just start paying attention in the chat. If you got them, put them in there now. If not, okay.
That was lodged in the.
Would you like to come up here and address it?
Yeah.
So they had to find a way to deflate the tires is how we worked it out.
Oh, so that it drops
So,
down.
and-
Okay.
Yeah, that-
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It was the brand new that figured that out.
well, thank you.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
Like that.
It wasn't me,
Not-
but yeah, that's something that we'll do if they don't fit underneath. These tires.
The real interesting thing is when police drive leading to work, I couldn't tell about this time frame, but now she's not driving.
Oh, my mini's back in the parking lot today.
Oh, really? Is it red?
Yes.
It is red.
Yes.
Oh, so, maybe we need to talk. The semi and the mini.
It was your.
It was a red car.
Is this gentleman okay?
He is. He was taken to the hospital. This happened around 3 o'clock. And, I was talking to him later that night, or the next day. He got released at 12 o'clock midnight. So he spent some time in the hospital. He is cleared to come back to work. I just texted him this morning. He's on vacation with his family, which is great. Well-deserved vacation. But if you know Chad, you would not be surprised that this is something you do. That's him. That's what he does. He's phenomenal, and I'm glad he's okay. And the driver of the other vehicle is okay as well. I want to make sure that I throw that in here as well.
Do you, I have a question on this one too. Do you know how fast the truck was going?
About 75.
Oh my gosh, see, it looked slow almost,
Yeah,
but okay.
the troop did.
Yeah.
He saw what was happening, slammed on his brakes, he threw on his lights to try and get his attention. And then you see him kind of go into him. And Chad was going about 15 miles an hour, which again, probably saved him from serious injuries. Also the car, I mean, that's a brand new Tahoe. If he was driving a Charger, which we have a lot of those in our fleet, that might have been a worse case scenario for him is being in a Charger. But Tahoes, those things are huge. And I'm glad he was in it because he'd be in a world of hurt if he wasn't.
Well, I don't see any questions in the chat or anything like that, so I can just go on to the next slide. And so if you guys would, please join us next month as we talk about heat awareness safety, and that's going to be Mark Ireland from Aptive Environmental, and that'll take place on June 1st at 10 a.m. So pretty much the same time and date of next month, and we'll see you guys there. Thanks for joining us.